Following program are pre-recorded.
Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken, along with Lori Hintz from Beck News. You can go to becktv.plus, follow all things Summit Carbon Solutions, proposed CO2 pipeline, and all kinds of other stuff on there. That's how you get to be the best of the best. So congratulations, Lori.
Thank you. Thanks.
Best of the best, best TV personality. So
yeah, that's the first time I have ever been nominated for such a thing. And it's an honor. It's kind of a special thing because the people actually get to vote for you. So that's a cool thing. So for all of you who took the time out to cast your vote for me, and even on multiple days, I'm very grateful.
Well, and I look at it this way. Investigative reporting still matters. Putting the time into a story and getting to the bottom of things, because you look at the investigative reports that you do, whether it's Summit, which we talk about weekly, or Fufang up in Grand Forks, because I really look at the mechanics behind that. And you were the impetus of why that was uncovered.
Well, Beck Television is a magical and wonderful place in that we have the wherewithal and the means to be able to cover those things and not just do it as a one-off, but actually go in depth and do that. And I'm allowed to do some amazing things that a lot of people in television are just not. They
let you drive the bus, but you got to have a bus to drive.
Well,
and that's Beck.
That's true. And I tell you what, we have the most amazing team. When they give you an honor like this, you just look back and realize all the people who make you look good. And I do. We have.
Thank you, but it's also these other 20 people behind the scenes.
100%. That is so true. So I'm grateful, but I also have to let people know that it's not just me that puts these together. There's a great deal of work that goes behind the scenes to this. And we have the really terrific people there that, first of all, let you do, the story and let you continue to do with it. They let me do radio hits, once a week here. And it's a beautiful thing. So I'm very grateful to Beck Television and to all of my colleagues there.
It's kind of like when I was doing all the talk shows on a different radio station, and people are like, "Oh, love the show." It's like, don't look at me. It's Dolly, Dolly Dakota over there, my producer. She's the one that made all the magic happen.
Yeah, it's true. You just have to look at the big picture of things. But again, it's a great honor, and our Beck TV station is 4-time favorite TV station.
Well, congratulations to you. Congratulations to Beck. You mentioned big picture, and that's kind of where I wanted to start this week, was the big picture, because you and I and Jason Spees touched on this a little bit last week, but big picture, we're starting to see more media outlets key in on not just Summit Carbon Solutions, but some of these other CO2 scams. And I call them scams because they're not viable. The technology's not there. The ROI, the cost-benefit analysis, isn't there. It's just a scam to grab free tax dollars.
I think it was honestly a kind of, as you say, something that was a carrot that was dangled in front of big companies or innovative companies where they decided, hey, we've got this great opportunity with these 45Q credits. We can make a pile of money for, building a pipeline and moving CO2 and making the earth greener. And
okay, that part I want to key in on, because company, bottom line, make money, and you're looking at these companies that went, oh, we can have a financial windfall for this. And I talked to some companies up front. Now, the odd part is where did Q45 start? Donald Trump.
Actually, back even further, the more that I have learned about it, I think a lot of this tax subsidy stuff actually started with Bush.
Okay, well, I can blame a lot of stuff on Bush, so we'll just go there. Don't get me started.
But it's been around for a long enough time. It's just been ramped up more recently.
It was ramped up or really
exponentially,
launched with Trump. Mm-hmm. What Biden did with it was on steroids.
Yeah, exactly.
Like stupid. But where I fault these companies, because you mentioned the carrot, and here's the carrot, and they all go, oh, okay, we're going to get all this money for profits and projects paid for that we would normally have to pay for. Sure, we're in. But the bigger picture is, here, take the carrot, because that pushes our green agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going down the road, whether intentional or not, and I think a lot of them were unintentional.
I concur. I think that a lot of it was unintentional.
We're going to give you this carrot so that everybody falls in line for this green scam.
Well, we've been looking at the 5 main states that are involved with the Midwest Carbon Express, i.e. Summit Carbon Solutions, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa. Those are the 5 states. But things are going on in other states as well right now, which are starting to catch my eye. And one particular...
Because I think the media is starting to pay more attention and shine some light on things.
Yes, and so we're seeing it, and we're able to watch what's going on in real time.
Not the case 2 years ago.
No, not at all.
Or even further back when a lot of these projects were starting.
Correct. It was crickets from anybody talking about this. Now, things are changing, especially because of AI. You've got AI coming in, and there is a competition. And an article that came out on September 3rd by Pat Mayo of the Cowboy State Daily. And Cowboy State, of course, meaning Wyoming. So it says, the headline reads, I know it. I love me some Wyoming people. I love them. They're so great.
I like them better than Texas now.
Yeah, I think I might
West Texas. Because I'm a big West Texas fan. There's a lot of synergies between Western North Dakota and West Texas.
Yep.
But Wyoming is just kind of...
salt of the earth, great folk.
Yeah, they're just
great folks there. I love them. I just talked to my girlfriend from Wyoming yesterday and love it. Anyway, giant Wyoming carbon capture project pulls plug for lack of clean power. That's the headline.
Now that was a similar project to what was in Morton County proposed. And by the way, when you go take a look at the timelines on some of these projects, you're like, oh, well, this venture group that never was in this space just developed a project for the venture money and the credits. And I'm like, but that's not what they do. So you got to look back at where this, because the Morton County one, it was somebody's house in Colorado. That was the office.
I know.
It just weird
red
stuff.
Flag.
Weird stuff.
Right.
But
so
this
one's really something. It starts off with a quote. It says, Carbon Capture Inc., which had wanted to build one of the world's largest direct air capture of carbon dioxide and storage projects in southwestern Wyoming, is pulling the plug on development of the complex in the Cowboy State. The Cowboy State Daily reports. Carbon capture cited intense competition from data centers in the region for electricity as partially the reason why it is moving from Wyoming.
All right, hold on right there at that thought. We're up against the break, but I want to come back and start. I want to take this apart piece by piece as we're going through this story because there's a lot of moving parts here. This is Talk of the Town. I'm talking to Lori Hintz from Beck News. You can go to becktv.plus. She is best of the best TV personalities. So congratulations, Lori.
Thank you.
Along with Beck being best television station 4 times. That's just incredible. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk. Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bachel. I'm with Lori Hintz from Beck News. You can go to becktv.plus, follow all things Summit Carbon Solutions proposed CO2 pipeline. And we're talking about some bigger picture stuff before we get into some of the details of what the latest with Summit is and what's going on from state to state. But bigger picture, we're starting to see media's kind of pay attention a little bit to some of these carbon capture issues and some of these different projects, which a lot of them are just tax credit scams. Call them what they will. Wyoming.
We started talking about this.
Yeah.
This is an article that came out in Cowboy
Huge
State
project.
Daily. Oh,
Huge.
yeah, huge project. It was Carbon Capture Inc. that put this out, and their CEO of Carbon Capture told the Daily, this has acutely affected our efforts in Wyoming, and as a result, we've decided to pause our development of Project Bison and to relocate the deployment of our first-of-a-kind project outside the state. So this is like whack-a-mole right now. You've got these various communities. You've got these various public service type commissions in different states. And so these companies are trying to find the most user-friendly places they can. In this case, the issue was in the region electricity because of competition with
reasons.
Data centers.
Competition with data centers, and by data centers, we mean AI.
Correct.
They suck up a lot of electricity. And now you've got
tons.
The Jeff Bezos and the Bill Gates. And
we get to that in this article yet.
We'll get to that.
We're getting there.
But the green energy side, because there's not enough green energy, not energy, green energy.
Correct.
Because that's the opportunity for these projects, which are a house of cards to begin with, but financially double and triple dip on the carbon credits. Because if they have green energy for their projects, those are more carbon credits.
Right.
So they don't want to use traditional energy because the profit margin's not there. So when you're looking at a lot of these venture groups that pop up out of somebody's basement,
all right. And not to mention the fact that most of these companies are doing it in some form or another on the backs of the public.
Yeah.
That's
for the tax credits.
And so that means the people are going to pay more for their electricity.
We're seeing that in North Dakota
already.
With the data center up in Williston.
Already.
Williams County.
Now, some are really good and some have a good mix so that they're not having big charges, but some are really bad. And so you've got this going on all over all of these different states. And so you're signaling that they're going to try and move on to a different location with their same project.
Okay, so I want to take a little aside here because,
Sure.
And I'm going to switch hats, and I don't do this very often, but I'm going to put my Burley County Commissioner hat back on for a second. And we worked our butts off to make sure that there was no increase in mills, no increase in property taxes, nothing. We cut the budget as bare as possible, providing the services that were essential and we had to do. And we send our budget off to the state, and it comes back. And a lot of people in Burley County were, wait a minute, my taxes went up. So we dug into that.
What did you learn?
Are you familiar with central assessing?
No,
Lori?
explain it.
So central assessing is where the state centrally assesses utilities. So a city, school district, park district, county, all the political subdivisions that have assessing capability for levying taxes go through their budgets and put that in. It all gets sent to the state. State turns around, throws their piece on after the fact, and it comes back. I was talking to a legislator earlier last week and he's on finance, and you know him very well, and he knows all the numbers, and he goes, I don't have a clue what goes on with central assessing in the state. It is so vague and such
random
shadow. Okay, what we found, and what we found was the state goes through and assesses values for infrastructure and utilities. So railroads, wind turbines, power lines, all of those pipelines, all of those entities. Wind turbines, almost 20% decrease in value. That was the assessed value. Railroads, right around 6% decreased value. You cannot tell me that those infrastructure utilities are going down like that. 20%? It was 19.98.
Wow.
So 20%, who pays for that? So blows up our budget, blows up the other budgets.
Sure.
The taxpayers foot the bill because they're getting an extra tax break, an extra tax incentive, which, okay, for me as somebody that works around energy quite a bit, and I'm usually all of the above. I have a rule, 5 years. It's like if something can't stand on its own 2 feet, pull the subsidies because you're missing out on innovation opportunities in other places.
Right.
And you're reducing the ability for the private sector to innovate and make things profitable. So don't let it sit on the teat of taxpayers. Okay, 20% for winter makes me, in my head, the first thing that pops in my, why in the hell would anybody ever allow a wind farm to be sited under their jurisdiction? Because if the state's going to pull crap like that and increase the taxes on my local taxpayers, why do I want that in my backyard? Why do I want that here?
It just makes me think. I actually saw on Twitter X just earlier last week too. I saw the picture of somewhere in Europe a wind turbine that had actually completely crashed to the ground. Did it
just tip over to catch on fire first? Because they like to catch on fire.
It did not catch on fire. This one was just so funny because the cause of it falling over was not lack of wind. Instead, it was too much wind, and there was too much wind, and it took the whole thing down. And I thought to myself, I can't even imagine.
Well, we run into that in North Dakota and in the upper Midwest. People don't realize.
Of course.
They don't operate as often as you think because it's either A, not windy enough, or too windy, or too cold in conjunction with too much wind.
Right.
And they have to shut them down.
Right, exactly.
That was part of the reason why Texas had the rolling brownouts and all the issues down there in that storm that they had. They were freezing up.
Right. And there we are up north with the brownouts up here too. Yeah.
But when
you're
you're looking at that, by the way, it might be a nice story for Beck News. I'm just throwing this out there.
I need more.
But it's the central assessing stuff. I'm like, and when I'm talking to legislators that work on finance committee, that they're like, yeah, I got nothing. He goes, I don't even understand it. I'm like, because how does a wind turbine...
You're getting it coming and going.
Pretty much.
You're getting it coming
pretty much
and going, no matter what you do. Yeah, it is.
But again, great example of here's a
clean
project.
Power.
And clean power.
Mm-hmm.
And who's taking it in the shorts? It's the taxpayers.
Right. Well, the clean power requirements for this particular project, Bison, were said to be the main reason for the move, possibly requiring as much as 3 times what could be generated by the 345 megawatt Natrim nuclear reactor being built in Kemmerer, Wyoming, by the billionaire Bill Gates. There it is.
Well, and okay, we're going to come back and talk nuclear here for a second. When we come back from the break, we're talking with Lori Hintz from Beck News. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Without apology, The Regular Joe Show with Joe Gigante. Weekday evenings at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app. Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bachman along with Lori Hintz from Beck News, and we're talking about some different projects, kind of a big picture, some scope issues. You mentioned nuclear, and we're going to get into who owns this project, but I have been a big proponent of nuclear power in North Dakota. We need a nuclear power plant in the Red River Valley, actually. Makes sense,
it
clean,
sure does.
safe.
Yep.
We've gone down all these other rabbit holes, but not the one that makes the most sense, which is befuddling to me. Now follow the money, because we're looking at all these different entities, and I mentioned Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, all coming out and go, wait a minute, this green agenda, tap the brakes on this, because we have this AI stuff over here that is going to need so much power, incredible amounts of power, and the only way we can do that is traditional energy sources. And I'll throw nuclear in with traditional energy sources. When I say traditional, I don't say fossil fuels, I say traditional. Oil, gas, coal, nuclear, throw those all in there. And now you've got the ones that have been pushing the green agenda going, wait a minute, we need more power, and your wind turbine's not going to do it. Your solar panel's not going to do it. We need to go back to the traditional energy sources.
Correct.
And then you've got this reinvented push towards nuclear. Now, nuclear is incredibly expensive to get built. The permitting side of it is incredibly cumbersome. And talking to Dwayne Sand, who used to be on the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and do inspections for them, it's a minimum. If you have full backing, full boat congressional, and your delegation is pushing it, and everything on the local level lines up, and you're go, it still takes 10 years to permit it from the federal side. You've got a project in Wyoming that is getting fast-tracked through, but who's the money behind that project?
That's
because
right.
Now, the money behind the AI that wants to tap the brakes on their green energy because, well, wait a minute, we need more power. Oh, wait a minute, if we also get in front of the power, I get to make money on the front side, the middle side, and the back side.
That's exactly the plan.
Bill Gates is the one behind this nuclear power plant in Wyoming.
Of course he is. To make the business model work, carbon capture needs to sell carbon credits at a premium to offset a company's emissions. Think Google or Meta, parent of Facebook. And this billionaire Bill Gates backed TerraPower LLC is what they're looking at in Wyoming. And the bottom line is this carbon capture project is getting the plug pulled. They don't have enough clean power. People are realizing, wait a minute, we need all this extra power. In swoops Bill Gates with this one too. And based on the huge power demands of Project Bison, according to this article in Cowboy State Daily from the 3rd of September, the supply and demand market for selling carbon credits wasn't looking appealing in Wyoming with the scarcity of clean power resources to buy.
Because they didn't have the ability to double or triple dip.
Exactly.
Well, okay, so if Bill Gates is backing this, then why isn't the globalist Bill Gates helping his globalist governor buddy Doug Burgum get a nuclear power plant in North Dakota? Because there's some actual talk about that going
Careful what
forward.
you ask for.
I would like to see a nuclear power plant in North Dakota, but
He's
I'd like
buying land.
Yeah, well, we know that.
We don't know what that's for. We don't know whether that's for agriculture or whether that's for maybe
no. You want to shut down agriculture because he also owns all the stock in the synthetic protein fake meat market. And you're going to have to go get your cow from a lab.
I just don't see that flying in North Dakota.
Well, I don't see it flying anywhere, but if you control the land, you control the food supply, and you shut the food supply off, it's kind of like the GMO argument with all the people that were against GMO for decades.
I remember.
And if you think about it, without GMO, you can't feed the world. People will starve to death.
Without
wait a minute,
genetic modified.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. What's Bill Gates' biggest agenda? Population control, too. See how all these pieces come together?
It's
and I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
I've got an opinion piece also that was in the Inforum also on the same day. And this is something that Port wrote, and it's titled Carbon Capture, Data Centers, and the Future of North Dakota. And that is same sort of stories that are cycling around right now in various news outlets. It's just so interesting. He says in his article, quote, Governor Doug Burgum is very good at playing the part of visionary. He's less good at politics, Rob Port wrote.
True.
Burgum has seen some of his other visionary proposals get waylaid by parochial politics. He has championed the Summit Carbon Pipeline.
You mean people that have stood up against his visions because they're taxpayer funded? Oh, yeah. Okay.
He has championed the Summit Carbon Pipeline, which would gather carbon emissions from ethanol plants across the upper Midwest and transport it to North Dakota for sequestration. This not only has the potential to be a major new industry for North Dakota as carbon capture technology emerges into the mainstream, according to Rob Port, but carbon capture itself is vital to our state's carbon-heavy industries, namely energy and agriculture. But the Summit Pipeline has run into furious opposition from a political horseshoe alliance of far-right populists. We've heard him use that term before, the horseshoe effect, where the ends of the horseshoe are closer
far
together.
Left, far right, yep.
Right. But the Summit Pipeline has run into furious opposition by the far-right populists who think the impetus to capture carbon is based on a hoax. Yeah, pretty much. And far-left environmentalists who oppose anything that might give the various fossil fuel industries a new lease on life. This coalition, which we must acknowledge represents a minority in North Dakota's public opinion, and yet he's writing about it right now. So that was interesting to me. Seemed a little... I don't know.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing
Move
to see here,
along.
right? Has nonetheless been able to gum up the works in some significant ways despite Burgum's ardent activism. Now, that's an interesting admission from an opinion writer also. I thought that was very interesting.
So the interesting thing is this project has been pushed back, delayed. And remember how fast they wanted to fast track this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I think we may be at the point where it's been delayed enough to now you're seeing all these data center and the technology side of stuff go, wait a minute, we need the power and this green new scam thing isn't going to get us over the finish line. Although it's a little scary when you start talking about the data centers. Are you a fan of the Terminator movies?
I'm familiar with them.
Did you ever think that Skynet...
Are you talking Linda Hamilton?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, okay, yeah, sure.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yes, I'll be back.
Did you ever think that Skynet would start in North Dakota?
No. I just got that. I got the huzz there. A little chill. This is. I'm just going to finish this up here. Seeing the potential, he says, seeing potential things like data centers and carbon capture have for North Dakota requires visionary leadership, and Burgum has that in spades. But building public,
as long as somebody else pays for it.
But building public support for the rollout of these ventures, which, as with any new industry, can be rocky at times, doesn't seem to be a skill that Burgum and his administration have. Will Republican Kelly Armstrong or Democrat Merrill Pepcorn support carbon capture and data centers? And if so, will they be better at selling the public on supporting these new ventures than Burgum has been? And that's how he ends this very provocative opinion piece that he did last week.
It's not about selling the public. It's about who's paying for these ventures, because the Commerce Department's been corrupted by the governor's office and is the financial branch. Forget the Bank of North Dakota. It's the Commerce Department. Here, have another $3 million. Here, have another $20 million for this. Here, have another $42 million, Mr. Wonderful. Thank you for that return. That's what it's become for all these pet projects, because you mentioned the pet projects that we're seeing across the state of North Dakota earlier, and it has not slowed down. In fact, there's been a ramp up of a lot of this as the governor's term is starting to wane. They're trying to get a lot of stuff across the finish line, and you and I as taxpayers have to pay for it. We're talking with Lori Hintz from Beck News. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk.
The NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken, along with Lori Hintz from Beck News. You can go to becktv.plus. Check out Lori, who, congratulations, is now best TV personality locally, voted on by the people. So, you know what?
Did not have that on my bingo card a few years ago.
People appreciate the investigative reporting side of this, because what you see with a lot of mainstream media and even the local news is drive-by reporting. They don't have the resources or the time to do an in-depth investigative report. It's a little 30-second clip.
Right.
And Beck has the ability to do that. So greatly appreciated. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Fu Fang Summit, a lot of different things out there. We were talking between the breaks of some other things that potentially are in the queue. Central assessing from the state.
I want to point out that there are some really interesting new outlets that are starting to follow these stories, particularly with carbon capture. And
and that's what we're talking about. The media is starting to pay attention, and it's from some weird places. You've got I've got an article from Prairie Public.
Prairie Public Broadcasting.
And remember where their financing comes from. You always have to remember where they're taxpayer funded through the federal government. Remember where the dollar, always follow the dollars.
Follow the money.
This is coming from Prairie Public.
This is from Harvest Public Media and in Prairie Public Broadcasting in this article. The article says stories of place, and they're talking about Summit Carbon Solutions Pipeline is one of them. And they delve into a proposed Midwestern pipeline project by Summit Carbon Solutions that could become the largest carbon capture and sequestration initiative in the world. By the way, last week, the numbers that I saw were 2,500 miles and $8.9 billion.
It's getting bigger.
It's getting bigger all the time. The project plans to capture CO2 emissions, as we know, from ethanol plants across 5 states and store it deep underground in North Dakota. Supporters argue that this could strengthen the ethanol industry and open it to new markets. However, despite clearing a significant regulatory hurdle in Iowa, the project faces challenges in other states.
Pause for a second, because and I spent years preaching this. if the pushes go to electric vehicles, and you've got an industry that's heavily subsidized, the ethanol industry, via the corn farmers, and if the push is to go to electric vehicles, where's your market share? If
it ain't in the
there's no
Midwest.
combustion engines,
Well, it's not in the Midwest.
where's your
because
market share?
I'm sorry, our market share here is not going to, with the weather, we just simply can't use it. I watched a long form interview that Tucker Carlson did, and he got to test drive a Tesla Cybertruck with his buddy up
those
in
things are
Maine.
horrible.
It was just really interesting. And he asked the guy, he's like, the guy is in Maine and he's a logger. And he asked him, so what do you think of the truck? You've had it for a month. You've had it. Well, it's great and everything, but I can't use it.
Yeah.
I have to drive more than 2 hours back and forth to places.
Have you seen the video of it attacking people, like the back shuts because of the auto sensor to cut people's fingers off?
Right.
Yeah.
The thing is, you've got temperatures here that are not conducive to battery operated vehicles. You've got long-term driving. I go to Fargo all the time. I mean, that's a 2 hour and 45 minute one way. And I'm not going to spend 6 hours charging my vehicle there before I can come back.
Okay, so you're looking at a push in other places to go to electric vehicles, which means no combustion engine, which means no market
For ethanol. Correct.
But the push with this carbon sequestration is the carbon credits so that they can sell to California, Texas, Florida, the states that have standards for green energy. Oh, but those are the states that are getting rid of the combustion.
It's so
anybody
so
who questions
counterintuitive.
that this isn't a
But just think it through.
house of cards
look at the big picture.
and a scam.
Look at the reasoning behind why they're doing what they're doing, because it makes no sense. It just makes no sense for this area of the country unless you just want to make us a dumping ground.
It's just profit.
It's just pure profit. And this Prairie Public Broadcasting story is so great because it says, despite clearing a significant regulatory hurdle in Iowa, the project faces challenges in other states. Harvest Public Media's Rachel Kramer provides an in-depth report on the project's potential and the controversies surrounding it. Prairie Public Broadcasting reports. I'm like, wow, this came out on the 3rd of September. So we're a year and a half to almost 2 years into this, and longer for the landowners. They've been in it for over 2 years. And now Prairie Public Broadcasting is on top of it. So it's really interesting to watch the change over time, and it's great to be able to observe, okay, people are picking up on this from all different outlets, and they're realizing, okay, wait a minute. This is a story. This has been hanging on for a while. The people are still chirping about it. So why? And they're looking at it in depth finally now. And once you look at those carbon credits and you realize that's the impetus for absolutely everything that's been going on, what is the big picture for citizens, for instance? What's the big picture for citizens? Is this going to benefit us? Or is it going to benefit our state and our economy in the long run?
The taxpayers are going to have to pay for it.
Well, Iowa's the one who's going to, the people in Iowa are the ones who are doing the company, so they're the ones who are going to realize the benefits of this. In addition to that, there are 464 investors of which we may never know who they are because they're protected, so we do not know who the investors are in this. And the concern comes when you look at the big picture, inevitably, you've got overseas investments in what's going on here, and for what reason? Sometimes, I don't know, malign influence. Sometimes it's just the desire to take down the country as a whole. I just hate to see that happen.
I'll go back to Fufang. When that got uncovered, and then, oh, wait a minute, and it took the Air Force to get in the way of that, and then what got uncovered after the fact? Oh, wait a minute. That model that they were replicating
Everywhere
across the country.
New York.
Near other bases.
New York right now, Kathy Hochul just had an aide. One of her senior aides was just arrested for spying for China in New York. It's everywhere. It is not just near even bases. It is within the subnational level all over the country. And I'm gratified by seeing congressional hearings on the threat of China. I'm gratified that people are paying a lot closer attention to it now, but it is not gone, folks. It's not done.
Lori, I want you to switch hats for 1 second. We got about 45 seconds here. National Committee woman, Republican Party.
Yes.
For North Dakota.
Correct.
In that vein, when we're seeing how infiltrated that this country is with foreign adversaries, foreign operatives, is it cognitive on the RNC that this is going on?
Yes. It is. And I can say that because in my first 4-year term, we had a gentleman on the RNC who is now not on the RNC any longer, but for the first 4 years, named Solomon Yu. And he was the National Committee man from Oregon. He was raised in China, escaped communist China, came to the United States, and we have you can look up online, the RNC has put out resolutions condemning the malign influence of China in the United States, and also some serious backing also that the RNC has done as well for Taiwan as well. So yes, they have been very good about being aware of that. Yep.
Lori Hance, go to becktv.plus, follow all things Summit Carbon Solutions, proposed CO2 pipeline, a lot of many other stories out there as well, and congratulations on being best TV personality. So,
thanks so much.
In the community. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Talk of the Town, weekday mornings starting at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app. About the pets. Steve Dale's Pet World. Saturday afternoon at 4 on Super Talk 1270.
Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken, and a fun event coming up September 20th through the 22nd, Friday through Sunday. That weekend is going to be a big weekend in Mandan over at the Dale Paulke Arena. And Chad Berger joining us from Chad Berger Bucking Bulls. And Chad, North Dakota Rough Rider Cup, fill us in.
Well, it's the biggest thing that I've ever done in my life, and I've done a lot of...
You've done some big stuff.
Pretty big stuff, but this is the largest one-head rodeo in North America payout. It's the top 32 guys in the world in each event. You know, it's a full-blown rodeo, 8 events. You know, you're talking like in the bareback riding world champions, Clayton Bigelow, Jess Pope. You go into the bronc riding, you're looking at world champions like, my tongues are tied. But there's a lot of world champions, Skeeter Thurston, Zeke Thurston, and Ryder Wright, all these world champions, and calf roping, you're going to see Shad Mayfield, all them world champions. Just unbelievable.
So there's two sides of doing the rodeo circuit. And people show up, athletes show up to qualify for nationals or the payday.
Yep.
This is a little both.
This is both because we're 1 week from the cutoff.
Yeah.
September 30th is the cutoff.
This is kind of like, you haven't made it yet, you might want to show up in Mandan.
Exactly. These guys could come in here at 25th in the world and win as much money in Mandan that they could leave here at 10th in the world. Went from not being in the NFR to being in the NFR. And it's just amazing what's going to happen here when you get this many great riders. And we got bucking horses coming in from all over the world. We got horses from Canada, Texas, all the best bucking horses in the world, just so everybody gets a great horse. And
I'm guessing there might be a good bull or two.
There might be a good
too.
bull. We're going to just keep all the bulls are going to come from 7 miles south of Mandan. We can handle the bull end, but we need a lot of great horses. No one contractor can do it all, and I want to make this a celebration more than anything. I mean, we've got the Navy SEALs coming in, going to do some crazy stuff in the arena. We got the MHA tribe coming, setting up a village, and there's going to be singers and dancers and drummers before the event, during the event. It's going to be, a lot of action in one little spot there at the Dale Paulke Arena, and I'm just really proud of that.
Yeah, and I know because this has been a work in progress for a long time because trying to get the dedicated rodeo grounds over in Mandan has been a long process. And now that we've got Dale Paulke Arena and those dedicated rodeo grounds, this is where we start having some of the payoff for all that hard work.
It really is. They're having events there all the time, and Jason Middlestead, if it wasn't for him, this would never happen. He's the one who grabbed the bull by the horns and got
no pun intended.
And no pun intended. And he got Dale on his side, and Dale believed in Jason, and they went out and they raised a lot of money. And without that, we'd be still on the track, and I wouldn't be having a rodeo this fall there because
not to this extent. You just can't. Logistically, you can't do it the same way.
Well, I can't because it's just we wouldn't have the setup we have now, covered grandstands and all the great things there, and it's amazing what they've done there, and it's the Mandan Rodeo Committee has done a great job, and it's just I'm just so proud. I was born and raised in Mandan, and to have something like that there now is really awesome.
Little facilities go a long way.
You ain't a kid.
All right, fill us in. Full-blown rodeo coming September 20th through the 22nd, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
Start on Friday. Slack.
Yep. No, there's no slack.
No slack on
there's
this
only
one.
the top 32 guys in the
Okay,
world.
you're not.
And 4 circuit guys. It's a best of the best. It's 12 guys each night in each event. And somebody's going to walk out here with a lot of money. A lot of people are going to walk out here with a lot of money, but
we're hoping they walk out.
Right. And you can get your tickets at ndroughridercup.com. Plenty of great seats in that place. Now, you don't have to worry about rain, nothing. We got 2 covered grandstands now. It starts out at 6:30 Friday night, 6:30 Saturday night, and 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon. And it's just going to be so action-packed. I'm so proud of this event.
So tell us how this is a little different, because you mentioned, no slack on this. It's just you've got the top 32 guys in each. Do you have all those slots filled yet? You got everybody coming that's going to come? Or
they're all going to come. The top 32 guys in the standings are going to come because there's just too much at stake for them not to come. And then we got 4 circuit guys from the Badlands Circuit that get an invite, guys and girls, that done the best in 4 different rodeos in this circuit. So they get to compete against the top 32 guys in the world. So there'll be some.
That Badlands Circuit's a cool little circuit for those that don't know a lot about it.
Oh, absolutely. It's a lot of great cowboys come out of the Badlands Circuit, and it's North and South Dakota. But you got guys from Minnesota that come into the Badlands Circuit, Nebraska, Montana that want to ride in this circuit, and so it's
kind of like playing AAA baseball is really what it is.
Exactly. It's so awesome to see this and then have 4 of them get invited to
That's
go
a little
up again.
Different. That typically doesn't happen.
This has never been this is the first time it's ever been a format like this that the PRCA approved. It took me a long time to talk them into it. There's no slack. There's no nothing. It's just the best of the best. There's going to be every slot's going to be filled by a great cowboy.
So a week before the cutoff for the national finals, that's a little extra component too. So how much thought did you put in when you sat down and go, okay, how do I make a really cool event that people are going to want to come to, that the athletes are going to want to come to? And when I say athletes, I include stock contractors trying to get their best stuff there as well, because the horses, the bulls, they're all athletes too. Making this event, this is something different. It's something new, and you've got it right here in Mandan, North Dakota.
Yeah, really. And a lot of the stock contractors want to get their horses in here because it's the last time for them to showcase them for picking them to go to the NFR. So you don't only get the best riders, you get the best horses, and these riders. There's going to be a lot of stuff shook up in the last 3 weeks here. You got huge events between out West Coast and then come into here. And then come into Sioux Falls, and then it's over. And there's so much money, and so many places are going to change. Like I said, you could come in here 32nd in the world, literally 32nd in the world, into Mandan for the Governor's Cup or the Rough Rider Cup, and leave here 10th in the world. There's that much money at stake.
Wow! How do you put the purse together like that?
Oh, it's been a rough battle, but a lot of great sponsors like Dakota Community Bank. They're the title sponsor. And, it's North Dakota Tourism and MHA Tribe. And then you got local people that really stepped up, like Bobcat and a lot of these places, West River Egg, and it's just really, we've had a pretty good people supporting us and want to see this happen in Mandan, and I want to bring this. This is going to be literally within the next few years. I believe it'll be a 4-day, maybe 5-day event.
Wow, it's starting right here.
Yeah, I want to have a parade. I want to do a lot of things here.
We all love parades. So.
Yeah.
Getting in on the ground floor, first one, make sure you get your tickets. The North Dakota Rough Rider Cup. You can go to NorthDakotaRoughRiderCup.com. That's NDRoughRiderCup.com. In Mandan, Dale Paulke Arena, September 20th through the 22nd, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No slack. It's just the best of the best.
Yep.
A lot of prize money, and it's right before the cutoff for NFR.
Yeah. There'll be a real cool thing there Thursday afternoon. We're going to let all the great cowboys run all the roping calves, the bulldog calves, the team roping calves, and to pick out the 36 they want for the event.
Navy SEALs are going to be there. Some other special events.
MHA Tribe with their singers and drummers and dancers. It's going to be
showing up, maybe.
Well, I don't know about it. Forey's kind of probably been here enough. I don't know, but maybe we might bring him in one more time.
Okay, we'll see what happens. Chad, we'll talk again as we get a little closer to the event.
Yeah, come on out, guys. This is like I said. This is the biggest thing I've ever attempted to do.
Chad Burger Bucking Bowls. You can go to NDRoughRiderCup.com. That's NDRoughRiderCup.com for tickets. September 20th through the 22nd. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk.
Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken, and joining us on the program, Joe Sheehan over at Benchmark Mortgage. He's your mortgage planner. Give him a call at 701-400-3926. All right, Joe, I haven't had you on for a while, but I wanted to talk about all the scuttlebutt about 3 interest rate lowerings by the end of the year and this and that. And, okay, is this finally where I always talk about politics playing into what's going on with the Fed? Is this finally an example of that?
Nope.
Okay. Straightforward answer. All right, that's what you get from Joe. Okay, so what is really going on?
Thanks for having me on the show today. No.
So what's really going on? Because, they're talking this and that. And
there's no politics involved in it. I mean, the Fed has all along said that you need 3 things to happen, right? Inflation to get on target with 2%. He needs, and then he needs a cooling in, and that has been a lot to do with the job market. We talked about that for years, really. You and I talked about it for years, so that involves consumer spending, which is related to the job market. And in the Fed meeting on last Friday, I mean, he was really clear that he doesn't want to see a accelerating weakness in the job market now. And so he's going to jump in to defend the job market. Well, what can he jump in with? He can jump in with 2 things, lowering interest rates and quantitative easing. Well, quantitative easing is something that we've never seen deployed except for in a financial crisis or some sort of crisis. So the old standby is interest rates. Well, as you know, the Fed, they tried to bully the Fed into lowering interest rates about a month ago, where they were pushed for an emergency rate cut, and he said no.
Pretty simple.
And then, it was about a month ago. Remember, the market kind of collapsed. The market kind of went down. The big fears of recession. They were going, we need a 3/4 point cut from the Fed, and he said no. and then remember, the headlines were interest rates plummet.
Yeah, they
didn't. Into what we in the mortgage industry will refer back to as the big refi disappointment, because everybody called us going, I heard interest rates plummeted, let's refinance. Okay, well, they plummeted to the low rate of the range they've been trading in for 2 years. So, no. And, I mean, interest rates have been trading between 6.5% and 8% for 2 years. They basically just plummeted from the mid-range to the low range, and poor folks calling us to refinance. And it was funny because 1 week after they did this to the Fed and the obviously slow news week, nobody was blowing at each other enough anywhere else to cover it. Everybody calls and refinances, applications up, refinance applications up. Well, and within a week, mortgage applications down 14%. Right? I mean, so this is much. We're going to get a rate cut in September. We're going to get a rate cut.
All right, you heard that right here from Joe.
Yep,
over Benchmark.
We're going to get a rate cut in September because he's going to show the market that he will defend the jobs market. He doesn't want to see an accelerating. We're pressing unemployment over 4%. What was the magic number I always told you we needed in unemployment?
Like
4%.
4%, yeah.
Yeah, and we're pushing. We've now eclipsed 4% a little bit. There's going to be a desire by the Fed board to see what does a quarter do. Now, if you're out there and has this pushed interest rates down? Now it has, because as the market trades depending on a rate cut, we've now moved from the 6% coupon in the 30-year fixed rate mortgage to the 5.5% coupon, which means I've gone from quoting rates between 6.5 to 7.25 to people with great credit are now getting rate quotes between 5.75 to 6.5, depending on the day, depending on the trade, and depending on the qualifications of the borrower. So we're now back, but we've seen rates in this range before in the last 2 years. So what's going to happen, my prediction, if you're out there and you're thinking about locking, please call me, because I think this is the one place that's been right about interest rates and the Fed cuts. But I'm planning to lock all my clients before the Fed cut, because I think the market will try to bully the Fed into a half-point cut again. They will trade on that. And then when he doesn't cut them a half a point, what's going to happen the day after he only cuts them a quarter?
They're going to go up.
Rates will go up.
All right.
And so I think your best chance of the best rate is before the Fed cut, or before the Fed cut.
All right, one more question, and this is where
and the Fed did not say he's going to cut rates 3 times.
Right.
That's the market bullying him.
The market. Well, okay, so, and this is where some of the politics does come in, because one of the big talking points from Vice President and presidential candidate Kamala Harris is we're going to fix housing costs. We're going to make it affordable for everybody to own a house. Mm-hmm. How does that play in when there's no inventory and the rates are what they are?
I don't know, but that's what they did on the reservation. It didn't work.
I haven't seen a plan for it yet.
Yeah, that's all. Just remember, they all say the same thing. I mean, they'll sit and they'll talk about how they're going to control inflation while they put up a massive spending bill, right? Which everybody knows won't work.
Doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. Yeah. What do people want to hear? Well, that's what we're going to talk about.
Yep. I got to get something out there for everybody to hear. But yeah, I anticipate we could get 2 rate cuts this year.
Really?
Maybe we'll get 3. I'm not saying we won't get 3. I'm just saying it's way too early to talk about that. In the same testimony that he gave here yesterday about rate cuts, and basically indicating he was going to probably cut something in September. He also then upgraded projections for GDP growth, and we know inflation is going to go up again. So he actually upgraded economic growth and activity while he's also saying he's going to give a rate cut. So there's this first rate cut, I think, is a test the waters, see what the impact is, see what future data says. But are we going to get 3? Maybe, but man, I think we got to see some bad news to get 3. And here's the other thing that could happen: if the Fed goes to a half, I think the market. It's always one of those things where it's kind of like a kid where you say you want the big double cheeseburger, you want the big person burger, and then they bring you the big person burger, and then you go, oh, crap, there's no way I'm going to be able to eat that. I think.
Yeah, I know exactly how that works, because I go to Jack's Steakhouse and get that big, massive burger sometimes and go, I can't eat all that. That ain't going to happen.
I think if the Fed gave the market what they want, then they'll go, oh, no, now what's wrong? He gave us what we want, and then they'll panic.
Okay, so bottom line, talk to Joe. Get locked in before the potential, because that's probably good advice.
I think you want to be really ready to do that. I'm not saying it'll be for sure, but I'd be ready to do it then. And here's the big thing: we're contacting all my past clients. We have put out a Get Refi Ready campaign. We have everybody positioned to refinance. Rates are going to go down. They are. They're going to go down into the 5s for sure. When? Not tomorrow. Remember, the Fed raised rates 8 times. The market has responded to this for over 2 years. it's going to take a little bit of time for rates to come back down. Now, if you're a veteran, we are refinancing veterans into the mid-low fives right now on their interest rate reduction loans. So if you're a veteran at 7.5%, you might want to be looking at this. But rates are going to, good news is rates are going to come down. You're going to see rates you're going to start hearing rates in the fives. Maybe you'll hear rates in the fours. But folks, be ready, be optimistic, don't be too crazy, and be patient, because it's going to take a little time for it to happen, but then it's not going to last as long as you want it to either.
And have a plan in place. That's why you give Joe Sheehan a call over Benchmark Mortgage. He is your mortgage planner, 701-400-3926. Joe, always a pleasure, my friend.
Hey, talk to you later, man.
This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
To Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken, and joining us in the program, Kylie Harmon with Gaia Home. Big event coming up. Kylie, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you so very much for having me again.
Quick little recap for those that may not be familiar with Gaia Home. Mm-hmm. What is Gaia Home? And you know, I get a little passion here too. So
I know you do, and I really appreciate your passion, because it's people who have gone through the end of life experience that will really understand what we're trying to do. So we are working to build a community of home-like units and shared gathering spaces for families to move in to receive hospice services, have 24-hour care support, then specialized end-of-life care from caregiving staff. And it's really just a beautiful place for families to gather during that final season of life where they don't have to take on the caregiver role. They can really just be family with their loved one and spend more quality time making lasting memories.
And when I explain it to a lot of people, they're like, but don't we have hospice for that? And yes, and thank God for hospice and what they do. But for some people, there needs to be more care. And trying to keep somebody in a home or a home setting, it's near impossible. And, you know, where I came into this, you and I had this conversation. I went through this with my dad out in Washington State. And you and I were talking, and you're like, I'm on that page. I've been working towards this. And that's where you and I started having some great conversations like, well, this and this and this, and what do we need? And you have just run with this ball. And thank you so much, because when this comes to fruition, our community is going to understand where there was a gap and how vitally important this is.
It was. I really appreciate you saying that again too, because it's really it's been your help. It's been all of our volunteers. If you go to our website, thegaiahome.org, click on our leadership tab, you will see
Wachter family,
the Wachter family, the Dosh family, the Russell family. I mean, the Rocksteads. There's just so many people that have been a part of this to make it.
Foundations.
The Tom and Francis Leach Foundation. Yes, I mean, there's just a lot of people that have really gathered around this idea, because yes, there is a huge gap.
It just clicked.
And it's for people who, you know, need that extra support, like you said, where they want more of a homey option. They don't want to pass in their home. They need more of that specialized care. I was actually on the phone late last night. I got a call from an individual around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and needing help with their father. And they need a place to go where they have the care, because can't do this quite in their home. And it was just like, okay, we don't have that option quite yet. We're working towards this option. Here are the options now, but soon we will have this option for our community, and especially for Western North Dakota. They say that anywhere between 10 to 30% of people on hospice care any given day could need a place like this. And if you look at all of the people who are on hospice services in Western North Dakota, there's 28 counties. The average daily census is 139. So that's anywhere between 14 to 42 individuals and their families that could really benefit from what we're trying to provide.
Okay, so just a little recap there, and where are we at right now? You're still in, you got a lot of pieces. You got the land, you got the location, you've got a lot of things that we've talked about in the past. You're still in fundraising.
Fundraising mode,
and that means you've got events, and you've got a fun one coming up.
We do. We have our inaugural Buck-a-Bird charity clay shoot. So this is the brainchild of Mr. Jeff Essler, who is on our operations advisory group. And it's a fun charity clay shoot that's a little bit different. People can register to be a regular shooter, or they can be a VIP shooter. And as a VIP shooter, you end up getting a bunch of extra perks. So extra chances to win some great prizes. You get to go through the food line first. You get special attire that only VIP shooters get to wear for the event. And to become a VIP shooter, what we're saying is sign up and then find at least 5 individuals or businesses that will donate $1 or more per bird that you hit. And so there's up to 50 targets.
Okay, we might want to raise a little bit more funds than that.
Agreed. So if you want to
I have good days out there and I have bad days out there.
And you know what? The funniest part too is we're saying, if you have your shooter sponsors that are sponsoring you and your shooting abilities, they can prepay their donation. And, if you have a lackluster day when it comes to shooting and you only get like 30 targets, we'll kindly thank your sponsors for believing in you and paying their full donation up front. No refunds, people. No refunds.
Okay, so where's this going to be at?
So this is going to be out at the Capital City Sporting Clays with Mark Sandness. He's just been awesome to work with.
Mark's
really
awesome.
So appreciate him. And it'll be on Friday, September 13th. So grateful. Our top sponsor is Bismarck Heating and Bismarck Heating and Air. And they've just been awesome to work with as well. And so just really grateful for the everybody that's coming together to make this event a good time.
So how do people get signed up for this?
So what they need to do is go to thegaiahome.org. Under the events tab, you'll see the Buck-a-Bird, and that's where you go and you can register as an individual shooter, a regular individual shooter, a VIP shooter, or you can sign up as a team as well, team of 4 individuals.
There a cap on, I know Mark does a really good job, and a lot of shooting events get full. Is there a cap on number of teams, number of shooters, or we're just going to make sure that everybody has a good time?
We're going to make sure everyone has a good time. This is our first year, and so we're going to test out a little bit of the kinks while we're all having a good time doing it. So, yes.
So Friday, September 13th, Buck-a-Bird.
Buck-a-Bird.
Go to thegaiahome.org.
Yes.
You can get signed up there. What are some of you mentioned some prizes?
Yeah,
and stuff,
so we have.
That's the cool thing about this. The community's really pitched in a lot with the Gaia Home and your vision. So greatly appreciated in the community. But
so the prizes. So we've got an awesome Shields is donating a Benelli USA Montefeltro 12 gauge shotgun. Valued at roughly $1,400. So that is the top prize.
So if I'm having a bad day shooting around and then I win the shotgun, so I'm obviously going to shoot better right after that, right?
Oh, obviously. And that's why you want to become a VIP shooter, too. Because if you become a VIP shooter, you get an extra ticket in the drawing. So all VIP shooters, they get 2 tickets, where regular shooters, you just get 1, So VIP, that's where the jam is at.
So cost?
Cost is $100 for an adult to shoot, $50 for youth. We welcome youth to come and shoot as well.
Their team cost?
17 and under. Yes, $400 for the team. For the team cost.
And to be a VIP?
To be a VIP, it's $100. So that's what I'm saying. So it's the same cost. You just do a little bit of extra work in finding some shooter sponsors.
Perfect. Just go find some sponsors. Going for a great cause. The Gaia Home, Kylie Harmon, you've done a great job with this, and I am so happy to see where your vision's gone and where it's going. You can go get signed up for the Buck-a-Bird shoot out at Capital City Sporting Clays, thegaiahome.org. That's GAIA.
Yep, GAIAHOME.org.
Thegaiahome.org. Check it out. Get a team together. Bring some friends. It's going to be a good time. Food, I'm assuming.
Food, yep. We're going to have the big boy food truck out there, so It's going to be a great time.
Nice. Kylie Harmon with the Gaia Home, Buck-a-Bird, September 13th. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
1270.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken, and joining us on the program, Brad Ock, General Manager of Runnings in Bismarck, 701 South Washington, the cool running store. But, okay, now I grew up in Grand Forks, Brad, and the cool store for me growing up in Grand Forks was Home of Economy. And if you go back and look at the history of Home of Economy, they had the best damn Toyland, and they even did a TV show from Toyland over Christmas. It was awesome. You got to meet Santa, and the local TV station carried this half-hour program on Saturday night, and you can go be on TV and sit on Santa's lap and tell him what you wanted, and that was the family store that covered all the bases and everything for me. And when you talk about family stores, now Home of Economy officially part of the Runnings family.
Yeah, I mean, you really we got some big shoes to fill out there.
You do,
man.
You really do.
After an intro like that, we can't let you down. Whoa.
You got to bring back Toyland for me, because I'll still go sit on Santa's lap.
Yeah, no, I'm up in Minot today.
You are getting. Yeah, so all the Home of Economy is now part of the Runnings family, and that's a lot of stores across North Dakota. So in addition what Runnings already had in North Dakota, now you've got the Grand Forks, Jamestown, Minot, Devil's Lake, Rugby. I'm missing a couple. There, Home of Economy is...
There's Williston, Watford City, Grafton.
Yep. So Home of Economy, big piece of the portfolio now.
Yeah, it's cool. We're so we got Runnings people in every store right now. We cut over yesterday. We opened up. We had to close for a couple of days, get all the systems crossed over, new computers, work out all the bugs in Minot. We haven't quite worked out one bug, which is connecting the air units to the people who operate them. It's a third-party operating system for the air units. So I am upstairs in an office that's 89 degrees right now.
First world problems.
All
right. Wait till January, and then the heat won't turn on.
So. We're like, yeah, that's, everything went so smooth. On Wednesday, we're like, God, this is this is the best cutover I've been a part of. It was just so smooth. We came in the next morning, it was just blistering hot. We're like, what is happening? He called the company, like, we don't have access to the air units. They're like, well, they're stuck on heating. Like, oh, no, it's just been heating for 2 days, so we're warm. But you know what? A good
nice
customer
store, though.
Base is coming in.
So you're up at the Minot store. That's a beautiful store up there.
Yes, beautiful store. Very excited. We are, in 2 weeks, we will be back up to rearrange some of the existing fixturing to get ready for more. And then in the middle of October, we're back up here for a couple more weeks, and we'll build all the new fixturing. And then once the new fixtures are up, we're going to be like, pull the trigger. We're ready for freight. Runnings, it's going to be a hard transition, right? We don't have a lot of merchandise in the store. However, to make it easier on those of us going to help them, they don't want to start sending inventory until there's fixturing to place it all. So Runnings is being really good to the people who are helping with this cutover, because they're letting us build the fixtures in essentially an almost empty building as we start to sell down and make room. So we'll be able to build everything right. We won't be stressed for placement and location, and it'll look good. It'll be right. And then we're going to turn on the freight and get the freight coming up here.
So one of the things that you and I talk about all the time, because you've got a great co-op of vendors and a lot of synergy between the vendors for Home of Economy and the vendors for Runnings, now all one big happy family. And that means a lot of the products that people are used to at Home of Economy, they're still going to be able to get with Runnings. And a lot of the products that Runnings had were products that Home of Economy had. But the ability to go, okay, well, that one we don't have in the Runnings circulation, but we're going to keep that here and add it in ours. You guys have a lot of different options. So making sure that the customers have everything that they need and everything that they want, this just brings it to another level.
Yeah, it's really neat. As we started moving some things around, right? Over the years, it was a good example. We've discontinued some stuff over the years. Well, one of the, we didn't really think about it. Taking over a company that actually runs the same inventory system as we do. When we pulled the merchandise over, those inventory numbers flipped over to our system. Well, just because we have the same inventory system doesn't mean we assign to the same numbers to each product. So before you know it, we have products coming over that are skewed differently. So we have this awesome pair of muck boots back there for $1,600 because our computer does not think they're muck boots. We're like, oh no. So we ripped all the tags off the racks yesterday. So, because how much is stuff? And it was one of the unforeseen consequences of taking over. We're retagging the entire store. It'll be good. Let's go find your price so we get you taken care of. But we're finding some things, little quirks that we didn't really anticipate until we crossed over. We're like, oh, but they don't want to do a lot of messing around with. We'll just clearance that out and get rid of it, because if that's a good seller, they're reviewing the sales history, and that's a good seller for home economy. This is something we should try in the running stores. And it's really neat to see the buyers dig into the numbers and start being like, wow, that's a good product. We need to get that in our doors. So if there's something, some of our viewers, we know you guys go shop at Home of Economy. If there's something they carry that running's in, man, you got to come in here and tell us. Or stop and the person with the Lefsa stuff really just let me have it. I mean, they're like, you better not get rid of all that Lefsa stuff. I'm like, oh, don't worry.
Well, Home Economy always had great Lefsa stuff. Well, like Runnings has great canning stuff. Home Economy always had great Lefsa stuff. So getting into this week's flyer, because, of course, a lot of great specials, a lot of great sales as we're starting to get into fall season.
Yeah, so canning's hitting. We have a lot of canning stuff ready to go. I am blown away with how much is already going out the door. People started canning weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
But we still got a great selection of jars, wide mouth, regular mouth. We got lids, pressure cookers. We still got the vinegar. We got all your canning salts, different seasoning packs. We're still stocked pretty well on all this stuff, so it's still in all our stores. It's also things your Home of Economy stores still have. So, we may not be running the ads for Home of Economy, but I'm sitting in an office right now upstairs. I'm looking out and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pallets of canning jars. And I mean, I tell you what, this is pretty good. You stand up in their office in Minot and they can see the whole sales floor.
Yeah, it's a great view up there. It's a beautiful building. I remember when they built it.
I love it. There's a lot of good stuff here, and they are still ready to take care of you. We're just trying hard to not add more clutter before we build the racks.
And my wife, Wendy, she's been canning for about 3 weeks now. We got pickles coming out of our ears, and she's got every supply you can imagine, every bit of canning stuff. And it's amazing to me. She makes at least 2 trips a week to Runnings because, I need this. I need this. I need crisper. I need different jars. I need.
And I can vouch for that because I see her quite a bit in the store.
She's there a lot.
Don't worry, I don't tell her I see you looking at things in back.
Okay, yeah, don't. When I go in and visit with Kev, don't tell her I'm there.
Yeah, I've been
or dog stuff, or
I've been in here for a while.
No, I'm not there. Don't let her know I'm there.
Huh.
I get in trouble when I go there too much.
Brad, exit out the back for you.
I owe you. Great opening, great addition with the Home Economy, joining the Runnings family, and we look forward to getting you back into the studio next week. Brad, safe travels, and get that store up and running. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Talk of the Town, weekday mornings starting at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app.